For me, when I hear of the things happening in the West Wing, which when you work there, it's such a blessing. To think of the Trump West Wing staff, the way they conducted themselves, debasing that space, it has a physical impact on me. This was your sacred space, the Department of Justice. How is watching this today?
It was so harrowing for me because there's not any. I think when you saw Richard Donoghue testify today, that's the soul of the Justice Department. It's not political. I worked for two attorneys general who went after Republicans and Democrats alike. They didn't protect their friends. It's a non-political place with highly structured traditions. And what we saw today was Donald Trump blowing past all of them. And look, there's nobody who cares about the criminal case against Donald Trump more than me. And the evidence today was overwhelming on that. But the first thing you asked about my emotional reaction was Donald Trump is not fit not only to be in this country, I mean, not only to be president of this country, but even to be in this country. I mean, the picture today was a third-rate dictator somewhere else. That's the way Justice Departments and presidents in foreign countries behave, the way that Trump did, not the way our Justice Department did. I mean, regardless of what you think about various presidents, Bush, Reagan, Clinton, nobody treated the Justice Department this way, and nobody put anyone in the Justice Department like Jeffrey Clark who would do that kind of bidding.
What's so amazing, what we saw today for the first time was some of the evidence that we'd understood this committee had marshaled, but I don't know that we'd ever seen it before. We saw some of the call logs they have, and interestingly, Jeff Clark gets the title, at least on the White House call log, of Acting Attorney General of the United States of America. He calls the president 5, 6, 7 times, or 6 times, and his title gets changed sometime between 1:13 p.m. and 4:19 p.m. ahead of that Oval. So either someone misreads a cue or Donald Trump actually expresses his intent to make this switch that would have had the result that Mr. Donoghue testified to.
Yeah, when you're building a criminal conspiracy, Nicole, you have to build both the intent and the overt acts. These are the kind of things, using White House evidence of the overt acts. To Neil's point, something that came through is this is the first time we have heard people testify about this under oath. That matters for the country because you can see them and make your own determination. Do these people who were appointed by Trump, do they sound truthful? Do they sound honest? Do they sound like they care about America or not? That's for the public. For the law, they're under oath. So that's different than talking to a Washington Post reporter where they've had some good reporting about this. And what comes through in that clash in the Oval is that you have someone who has the venality of an autocrat, but not much of the competence. And I thought it was a really key moment where they are, as we just showed at the very end, you had some of the highlights, telling the president on notice, we are your appointees and your other Trump appointees will all walk. Right. This will be before the 6th. So in the back of Trump's mind, the venality is he thinks, oh, he might not care about the reputation or anything, but he's thinking, well, that would complicate what he's trying to pull off on the 6th against Pence. But they also then tell him, well, and Clark, is being insubordinate, among other things, potentially illegal. His home was raided now. And then Trump asks, well, if you say he's insubordinate and you're unhappy with him, can you fire him? And they, being honest stewards of the law, as Neil reminded us, they give the honest answer, which is, in that case, helpful to the venality part, the bad part of his brain. They say, well, as a matter of law, Mr. President, a Senate-confirmed appointee like that can only be removed by the president. We cannot fire him, even though we are documenting his insubordination. That is such a complete exposition of the positions they're in. They still talk about what's true and lawful. They still give the president accurate information, as they also warn him that if he does go forward with this autocratic plan, they will leave.